All right, welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys, a podcast, and I'm DJ Impact. And live with us via telephone is Sin City Steve. And
Hey, what's up?
yeah, we're the two that's rocking it tonight. Or as you're listening to this podcast, Matt Michaels is out on assignment, and Simon Street's just out. So
Pretty much.
yeah. But welcome to Three Count, and we have three good topics for you. And feel free, if you're watching us live, we'll make sure not to have Matt Michaels just pop in for any reason, because whenever he just pops in on his own, everything just goes to shit. So if I see him, I'm just going to kick him right out. All right. We want you to be able to watch this as well as listen to this and with no problems. All right. So anyway, welcome to Three Count. We got three good topics for you. If you're watching us online, please throw your comments in the box. We're live, YouTube live, Twitch, and Facebook. We would love to hear your comments. All right. So let's get to it right now. It's time. Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting present 1, 2, 3. Count Talk.
Count Talk, baby.
All right, here is our first. It's time. Oh, not that one. There we go. Too much fun on pressing the buttons.
There you go.
Count one. The latest Backstage AEW news regarding fallout from Backstage fight. This is from WrestlingInc.com. And hold on, let me fix that. It says wrestling. Let's put the ink on. There we go. There we go. We got to make it official, especially when you're live. There you go.
Boom.
From Wrestling Inc. All right. So this is how the story read with that. It says that CM Punk took the wrestling storm by storm this past Sunday during the All Out post show media scrum, and he not only called the Elite, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, quote, irresponsible EVPs, end quote, but accused them of leaking stories to the press about the manner in which he influences Tony Khan's decisions. As you might expect, the Elite didn't take kindly to his comments, leading to a physical altercation between them, Punk and his longtime friend Ace Steel. Omega and the Bucks, along with several other talent and backstage personnel, were subsequently suspended for their involvement. Now, accounts have since varied about what exactly happened during the fight. The people close to the either side giving different details, including word from Punk's camp that the Bucks kicked down his locker room door. However, Fightful Select has been able to shine some insight into this, writing, quote, those that have been in touch with CM Punk and Ace Steel have softened on the stance that the Young Bucks definitely kicked in the door, end quote. It has since been clarified that, quote, kicking down the door, end quote, was more of an expression that was used to illustrate the fact that the Bucks shouldered or otherwise forced their way in to confront Punk, who was in no mood to talk to anyone. Now, Fightful is also reporting that talent hasn't been told what exactly the future holds for Punk, who is now the former AEW World Champion after being formally stripped of the title on Wednesday AEW Dynamite, although it's unclear whether this was done due to his behavior at the scrums or due to an injury that would have sidelined him anyway. Company employees are supposedly, quote, under the impression that it's all pending an investigation, end quote, and said that they were told, quote, unless Punk's suspension is unpaid or he's fired, it's superficial considering he'll be out of action well into next year, end quote. Now, quote, Punk have been rubbing the locker room the wrong way, end quote, Fightful reports. But one of their sources suggested he's hardly the root of the company's backstage problems, which, quote, had reached an all-time high when Punk was gone, end quote. Now, neither Punk nor the Elite were mentioned on this past Wednesday edition of Dynamite, but there were reportedly a, quote, much more positive vibe, end quote, backstage.
Huh.
With many members of the rosters just wanting to move past the whole thing. And of course, Kenny Omega, Micah Nagasawa, and Christopher Daniels, all of whom have been suspended, were set to be part of Tokyo Game Show in Japan to promote the upcoming All EW fight for every video game. But as of this writing, there is no word if this is still the plan. Sin City Steve, what is going on?
Dude. Dude, it's a powder keg that just got set off, bro. And so the crazy thing is, watched All Out, great show, and I figured, okay, I'll fire up the media scrum. And so the feed that I saw, CM Punk just immediately starts in on Nick Hausman and, asks him if he was friends with Scott Colton, who's Colt Cabana, and then just lit into Colt Cabana, mentioned that, Hangman Adam Page was an empty-headed fuck. And yeah, dude, it was crazy just to see it all unfold. But even more than being crazy, it was unprofessional and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it was just not the impression that you want to leave your audience with at all.
Yeah.
And then the subsequent fight, if ultimately what it comes down to, in my view, is who threw the first punch.
Mm-hmm.
Who threw the first punch, because whoever did that took things to a different level. You can be in a shouting match with somebody, you can be yelling at each other, that's fine. But the moment that there's physical contact that happens, you cross a line.
Yeah.
You cross litigious, in a litigious sense as well. You cross a line.
Yeah.
So it's all pending investigation right now. Everyone is off of TV, as you had mentioned. It's just a really messed up situation. And I did find it interesting that Jon Moxley came out and interrupted MJF's promo at the start of Dynamite this past week. And he lit into a brilliant promo on what the AEW World Championship means to him.
Yeah.
And it was one of those great promos. So basically, what I think that we need to see is we need to start seeing a pivot away from having, CM Punk and, the elite as quote unquote locker room leaders. You've got an amazing core nucleus of Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, and yeah, definitely, fuck it, throw Moxley in there too. So Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, that's a great core for this young locker room to look up to. And Tony should make the steps needed and then don't look back. I'm not saying to fire or get rid of the Bucks or Omega by any means.
Yeah.
Now, would I have them be EVPs? Hell no. I don't think that you have any active professional wrestler on your roster as an EVP.
Well, see, that's been the problem from the beginning.
Since day one.
Yeah. It does not make any sense. And by the way, John, thanks for hanging out with us. He had just put in here, he said, Punk proved that Triple H promo from years ago about, quote, making changes, end quote, only meant Punk getting himself over was true. Hunter was right this entire time. I tell you, I mean, Punk is definitely an interesting guy. I will put it this way. When he left WWE, I gave him his props because I said, look, it seemed like he was really mistreated. This was just based on the information that we knew. It seemed like he was, mistreated. I guess he got his papers or whatever, or told whatever on his wedding day, or whatever, however it went. And, that was just a little too much. So he pretty much proved that, hey, he didn't need to be a part of this mega corporation, and he's good. And he left and he went away, and that was it. Left the money, left the fame, left all of that. Okay. It's like, I'm giving you props for that. It seemed like you really stood your ground, whatever. And then, he comes back and puts a promo about the idea of him loving wrestling, and he just wants to wrestle, and he missed wrestling, and all of this. At the same time, he's being paid tons, Sin City Steve, tons of money.
Oh yeah.
Part of the reason why he came back, because one of the things I actually was talking about this, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't even hear about all this stuff happening at all.
No shit.
I was on vacation, and then Matt Michaels actually gave me a call, and he said, "Man, what do you think about all this shit?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So he broke everything down to me, and I'm just thinking, if Punk really wanted to, if he was all about wanting to wrestle and wasn't about the money and all about that, there could have been times he could have been in ROH. He could have went back, right? He could have helped.
Yeah.
He could have been back in that organization. He could have went to Impact Wrestling. He could have done, but apparently it seems like that all of that was apparently a lie. It's from what I'm beginning to gather. It was about money, and I would even go as far as ego as well. Am I going too far on this, on my thinking on this for CM Punk? Because he doesn't seem like he's the same guy when he did the whole sitting down on the stage of Raw, and the guy now who's talking at the scrum. Where am I wrong on this?
Dude, it's unfortunately for him, CM Punk burned his WWE bridge forever. Okay. He has now, if accounts are true, in that CM Punk was the individual to throw the first punch. And Ace Steel, it has been documented, Ace Steel threw a steel chair and hit Nick Jackson in the head and knocked him out. That's a shoot.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
So if those things are true,
yeah,
then yes, CM Punk has burned his AEW bridge as well. So I don't think we'll ever see CM Punk or Ace Steel on AEW again.
Yeah. Well,
By the way, interesting stat. CM Punk, 2-time AEW World Champion. Number of title defenses, 0.
Wow.
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, that is something else. All the hype on one man, and how many nights did he help get them over $1 million? Has it been 2 now?
So this was their 3rd week in a row that they've been over 1 million viewers.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, 3rd week in a row.
I'm sure people are quite interested to see how everything is going to turn out now.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, well, I guess we'll see, man. This is sad that this all came about. We knew something, again, when he did that entire promo. I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago or whatever, when he went off script to talk about Adam Hangman.
Yeah.
It was like, huh? What was we should have known that from that point.
Yep.
Here we go. And see, here's the problem too, right? He does that, and I'm sure that Tony didn't say shit to him about what he did.
Of course not.
So if you're not going to be held accountable, you're just going to keep doing the same shit.
Exactly.
So I don't know. We'll see where this goes, man.
Who knows, man? It's not a good situation.
It isn't. But I'll tell you this, Punk. Go ahead and just delete Hunter's number from your phone. He's not going to accept the phone call. You're going right to voicemail. It won't even be one ring. It's going to be voicemail. That's a notification for block number.
Really quick, shout out to John in the chat. If we do see CM Punk in AEW again, it proves that Tony Khan has no backbone and just wants to run a wrestling company as a way to make buddies. Wow, that's a fucking mic drop.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna see where this goes, man.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna go into our second count. And this was actually brought on by Matt Michaels here. It does read the title WWE Stock Report. Braun Strowman feels a glaring hole on the roster. And this is from CageSideSeats.com. And this is how it reads. Some places do power rankings. Here at Cage Sides, we do a stock report. In this weekly series, we identify 3 superstars or group of superstars who are on their way up and 3 that are moving in the opposite direction. After a busy week that included Dominic Mysterio joining the Judgment Day, Drew McIntyre fading to black at the hands of Karrion Kross, and Dexter Lumis petting the Miz face inside of a steel cage, a lot of fortunes were changed. With this in mind, let's see whose stock decreased the most this week. Now, for stock number 3, Shayna Baszler, stock down. And after losing to Liv Morgan in the Women's Championship match at Clash of the Castle, Baszler quickly dropped out of the title contention this past week's SmackDown in favor of losers like Sonya Deville and Xia Li. Also, stock down on number 2, Toxic Attraction. And only their second match on the main roster, Toxic Attraction is already serving as tune-up fodder for the Women's Tag Team Champions to beat in a 5-minute match on SmackDown. And stock down number 1, Los Lotharios and Alpha Academy. And instead of Raw featured a 4-way match to determine the number 1 contenders for WWE Tag Team titles, and Los Lotharios and Alpha Academy were among those 4 teams. But by the end of the match, it was apparent that they were the only in there to be destroyed by the returning Braun Strowman, and Strowman then annihilated Alpha Academy again on SmackDown. And WWE is running the same 4-way tag match again next week, despite Los Asterios and Alpha Academy clearly not being championship material. It begs the question, why aren't the Viking Raiders in the mix for earning a title shot? They're pretty much the only team in WWE that looks like they stand a chance against the Usos. Now let's see whose stocks increased the most this week. Stock up number 3, Ronda Rousey. 1 week, Ronda Rousey is suspended. The next week, she's number 1 contender to the SmackDown Women's Championship. The baddest woman on the planet finally gets her rematch with Liv Morgan next month at Extreme Rules, where Ronda will no doubt be the favorite once again. Stock up number 2, Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa officially joined the main roster and the Bloodline this week, and he wrestled against Drew McIntyre in the main event of SmackDown. Considering the dominance of the Bloodline faction, Sikoa has a great foundation to thrive right away in WWE. And stock up number 1, Braun Strowman, the monster among men, is back in WWE as he streamrolled a good chunk of the tag team division during his return segment on Raw. Commentators emphasized multiple times that the 8 men in the ring were no match for one Braun Strowman, and WWE needs more main event level talent. And Braun immediately serves that role as a new top babyface to match up against Roman Reigns. And WWE also needed a more capable giant on the roster who can be relied on for a lot more than just squash matches. Whether it was Omos or Commander Aziz or future WrestleMania main event star Shanky, WWE has struggled to replace Braun in the spot ever since Vince McMahon has fired him last year. The hold is filled now that Braun is back. All right. Sin City Steve. Stock down, stock up. Stock down for Shayna, Toxic Attraction, Los Lotharios and Alpha Academy. Stock up for Ronda Rousey, Solo Sikoa, and Braun Strowman. What do you think, man? You think they're kind of right on this?
I think they're right on the money. The thing that really stood out to me is, yes, you re-debut Braun Strowman, but how do you do it? You do it by have him absolutely laying waste to your tag team division.
Mm-hmm.
We've said numerous times on this show that the Usos, who's going to beat them? Right. Who really is even on the level to be able to do it?
Right.
Because nobody has been protected in the slightest. And now you have Braun Strowman come back, and you just have him steamroll these guys like a bunch of geeks.
Right.
Seriously, it's crazy, but I mean that's the route that they chose to go. But it is good that they have Strowman back. I was somebody that when he got released, I didn't know why in the hell he got released.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me at the time. Never did. because they tried to fill his role with fucking Omos. And, no offense to Omos, but Braun Strowman will wrestle circles around that guy.
Right.
And especially now that the main roster of WWE is returning to a higher priority of work rate in matches. Braun Strowman is going to be the best working big man in the business.
Yeah.
I mean, he's over 7 feet tall. He is what stereotypically they want in a monster, and the guy can work. Now, is he your best work on your roster? No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that, yeah, this article is right on the money. It definitely fills a huge void in WWE, and especially with what they are going to be doing going forward.
I would say when it comes to stock down, I absolutely agree with Shayna Baszler being in this. I think this was just not a good look at all. Now, granted, we know that we're going to get Ronda that's going to have this match again, and I don't know. I can't even say we know she's going to win it because they seem like they really have their stock on Liv at this moment. But if knowing Shayna would have won that, ultimately, I think what could have been one of the biggest matches, and I could just be wrong. I'm sure someone like Michaels would fight this. I'm not sure. But I think a Baszler Rousey match at Mania would be something that would be pretty big.
Now, see, what you had me all the way until at Mania. What they could easily have done is they could have easily had Baszler versus Ronda at the Rumble.
Okay.
And then, that's where, realistically speaking, what should have been done is Baszler should have taken the title at Clash at the Castle. Okay.
Right.
Then you would have her with the title for a couple of months,
right,
until she lost the title to Rousey at the Rumble. And then at the Rumble is when Becky Lynch wins the Royal Rumble, thus setting up the match, the headlining match that WWE wants for night 2 of WrestleMania, and that is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey.
Well, that would night 2. That would have to be night 1.
Yeah. Either one. Shit.
Yeah. Because Roman taking night 2.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, okay, I can see that. But what we don't see in this picture is Liv holding that title. And so I think for Shayna to be dropped all the way back down to, as they put, Xia Li and Sonya Deville. Oh my God.
Oof.
Boy, I thought Triple H had me going for a minute. I mean, we bring back the Shayna that I love. Oh my God. I was scratching my head on that, Sin City. I ain't gonna lie.
You're not the only one.
I was totally confused, Okay. So it is what it is. All right. We could probably go to our next one. And let's see. Let's go to count number 3. And this one is titled, if I can get to my page. The Undertaker's controversial comments on Joe Rogan's experience that rubbed WWE's new generation the wrong way. Now, this was on essentiallysports.com. All right, so let me just read a little bit of this. It says that, let me skip down to that. Okay, while appearing on the Joe Rogan Experience, the Phenom revealed his opinions on the current generation of WWE wrestlers, and they were not exactly positive. When Rogan asked Calloway whether he still follows the sport, he answered, quote, "It's tough right now for me because the product has changed so much and it's kind of soft, end quote. Now, Taker did not hold back on his true opinions, and he continued, quote, "I'll probably piss a lot of people off, but they need to hear it. I mean, it is what it is. To the young guys, oh, he's a bitter old guy. Right. I'm not bitter. I did my time. I'm good. I walked away when I wanted to walk away, and I just think that the product's a little soft. I mean, obviously there are guys here and there that have an edge to them, but there's too much pretty and not enough substance, I think, right now. The dead man also gave his reason for thinking so. He believed that the old generation of wrestlers, which including him, all got old and hit retirement age at around the same time. So Taker clarified that there weren't too many of the quote old blood end quote available to train the new generations of wrestlers. Now the Phenom explained that while he can sit down with wrestlers and give out his theories and suggestions, the guidance usually doesn't translate unless there's an actual in-ring experience, which he believed a lot of the new gen stars lacked. Now Taker's remarks offended the latest generation of wrestlers, and some of them publicly expressed their disagreement with the WWE Hall of Famer. Now, Drew McIntyre, he has some sharp words to say about Calloway's criticism, saying, quote, I don't agree whatsoever, especially from an in-ring perspective. I've listened to part of it. I've got to listen to the whole thing. It's pretty new, but I think he may have been referring to like the kind of storylines and characters, etc. But otherwise, and that was end quote. Other wrestlers and fans also took to social media and showed displeasure with WWE's icon statement. There was one guy here that was they quote, oh yeah, Austin Creed was tweeted, and it says, I wouldn't be the person that I am without the guidance and lessons of a few key people from the previous generation of wrestling. They taught me about the business to save my money and that having video game in the locker rooms is healthier than having, and something was redacted. And he said, it says, thank you guys. And then the final one here says, while there are some valid points raised by Undertaker, fans believe the Phenom focused too much on the manliness aspect of the thing. And some have gone so far to even say that he failed to consider the impact of WWE leadership. There are other factors as well. The biggest criticism raised against the company are its lack of consistency, storytelling, and inability to create interesting, enduring characters, all of which could have affected the product. And that's the end of that. And there are other factors as well. The biggest criticism raised against the company, that last statement, I don't know if I still agree with that. It's lack of consistency, storytelling, and the inability to create interesting, enduring characters. I don't know. I mean, I know that's always been something that had been said, especially under the leadership of Vince. But even with him, I thought that there was some consistency and some good storytelling. I don't know if you necessarily care for the characters, but I thought that there always had been that going on. But Sin City Steve, the Undertaker just says, look, I mean, these guys are just a little bit soft right now. Do you kind of understand maybe where he's coming from on this? Because you like you and I, we've both watched Taker and a lot of the quote older guys back when they were just starting or in their prime, and we now also see the new guys. Can we understand where he's coming from?
So the thing is, I don't want to put words in his mouth by any stretch,
Sure.
But the only way that, and there was a quote that was in that article that was spot on. I don't necessarily think that, the matches are soft. I mean, great case in point, we just saw epic battles between fucking Gunther and Sheamus, and also Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those guys went out there and they beat the absolute shit out of one another. And it's, people in the business are taking better care of themselves. They're taking, precautions and making sure that their bodies are not going to fail them as they get older and things of that nature. They're traveling on buses, they're doing things that those guys didn't do in their prime. So they may look at the added layer of luxury or, whatever the situation might be. They may view that as being soft. But as far as the athleticism being displayed on a weekly basis, from show to show, Professional wrestling has never been more athletic than what it is right now.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's one of those things. Times change, and I really don't want to lump Undertaker in with, the people that can't let go. So I'm interested to hear him clarify his comments. And I have no doubt in my mind that, his exact intention will be made completely clear.
And I mean, John, you are right when you say, I feel like this is old news from a year ago, but people are still butthurt about it. Well, this article was actually recent, and apparently Taker's just, whenever someone does get the opportunity to interview him, he seems to stay on the same message. So apparently he hasn't changed from his thoughts from when he had an interview a year ago to an interview that he's had recent. And I don't know why he feels that way. Like you say, Sin City, there should be maybe a little bit more um more explaining maybe that he can give to why he feels that way. But one thing for sure is that the athleticism in today's wrestling is just amazing. And I don't
Definitely.
know, maybe Taker's watching too much of my favorite segment of the Maximum Male Models.
There you go.
Yeah, that's probably what he is. Like when he turns on wrestling, that's what's on, and he goes, "I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore." You know.
Who knows, man? It's crazy, but yeah, I mean, Taker. I wish that he would have clarified his comments by now, but obviously he hasn't.
Yeah, and if he's gonna keep going, on these shows and saying the same thing, I think he should probably just give a little bit more context to that. So I don't know. One thing we know is Taker is still the man. So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
we're still a fan. We're still waiting to hear the dong when we're at the show one more time.
Oh yeah. Anytime that you do, it's like you just hit a jackpot, bro.
That's right. Absolutely. It's excitement time.
Definitely.
Oh man. All right, let's ring this bell. Oh, that's not the bell. Here we go. There you go.
There we go.
All right, man. We did it. Just the two of us. Just the two of us.
Hey man, we can make it if we try, and we did.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everybody for hanging out. John, it's good to see you again, man. Appreciate you. Always love when you come hang out with us. We will hopefully be back next week and have the whole crew. I don't know. You never know.
Let's hope.
But that's all we can do is hope. But nevertheless, continue to be kind to one another and do right. Your final thoughts, Sin City Steve. What would you like to tell the good folks out there?
Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the stuff that you guys do, because we do this for you and we appreciate each and every single one of you. So thank you. Very special shout out and thank you to all the brave men and women serving this country, whether you're doing it on lands foreign or domestic. Thank you for doing what you do so that we can do what we love to do. And we are recording this episode on 9/11. So
yeah,
it's it's a day that we should use as introspecting and just making sure that everything's right within, and then being that change that you want to be in the world. So again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Last but not least, repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there for all your pre-workout, weight loss, and general energy needs. Again, that's repsports.com. Use promo code Vegas at checkout and save yourself 15%.
Perfect. Thank you much, Sin City. Everyone, we appreciate you always from watching us live and for downloading the podcast. If you want to watch us live every Sunday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we come on. I know that's 11 Eastern, but you know what? Don't worry about going to bed so early or late. Just hang out with us.
Hang out with us.
Let's hang out. And then go to bed.
Come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it would be. We would appreciate it. Again, like I said, City, we do it for you. All right. So with that, take care. Happy wrestling to you all. Peace.